The Canadian National Railroad has had many unique and cool locomotives across their large system. Illinois Central SD70s, as well as the SD40s and GP38 and GP40s, the GTW Jeeps, the BLE tunnel motors, multiple other fallen flags, the new 250th units, heritage units, among many others. But there's one locomotive that seems to be severely underrated, CN3309. 3309 started life as General Electric C44-9W 2598. GE started building the Dash 9 in the early 90s with the debut of the engine type in 1993, with 3,682 being built before being replaced by the ES44AC in 2005. Union Pacific would order 40, but later acquired many more through mergers, 101 from the SP, or Southern Pacific, and another 130 through the CNW, or Chicago Northwestern. The biggest buyers would be the Norfolk Southern, buying 1,090 of them, and BNSF, who ordered 100 as Santa Fe, but after the merger with the Burlington Northern, ended up buying 1,697 more of them. Canadian National would get 233 of the Dash 9, and get 14 more from BC Rail later on after merging with them. 2697 to 2726, though, would be lettered for the Illinois Central. They also had a special look that many of the other Dash 9s lacked. They were built either with the Canadian cab, seen on the C44-9WL, or with the teardrop cab, where they were slanted down on the sides. 2598 itself was a teardrop variant and had a relatively normal working life until around 2022, where many Dash 9s on the CN were withdrawn and taken to GE or Waptec to be rebuilt into AC44C6Ms. The first one rebuilt was 3300, which used to be 2641. These were basically the same locomotives, but with a new cab and up-to-date electronics, and a new GE traction motor, switching them from DC to AC power. It could also now put out 180,000 pounds of tractor effort. CN would order more later, but 3309, as the number suggests, is the 9th locomotive to be rebuilt. It was on regular freight service for a short time, but soon became the go-to unit for the OCS. The OCS, or Office Car Special, or Executive Train, or Business Train, takes big people and shareholders of the company to meetings, big events, the like. They often take them to meetings, or the Masters, or Mardi Gras. 3309 still looked like a normal CN unit though, until late 2023, where it gained the iconic steam-era wafer logo. This sent local rail fans after it quite a bit. It would keep the wafer for a while, and would also be joined by CN 3331. 3331 was built as CN 2576, and was another rebuild into an AC44C6M. It ran with and around 3309 for a good while before making its way to the old iron ore range in Minnesota, and hasn't left since it got there in 2024, but thankfully it still remains its logo from 1919. Back to 3309, it would keep the wafer for a while until 2025, where it was taken off for a trip into Canada. It was supposed to be reapplied soon after, but as far as I've heard, CN didn't want it on in Canada as there wasn't a French translation on the side of it. The website was also removed from the side, and the white striping was the only unique thing it had left, which it gained somewhere around the time after it got the wafer logo. After it returned from Canada, it once again became a regular on the hottest train on the IC apart from Amtrak, Z194 and Z195. It's been a mainstay on those trains, except for when running the OCS. It's on there for a very good reason though, and to explain, we have to look at 194/195's operation. The train leaves Homewood Yard, the main yard in the US, and goes south to New Orleans. working places such as Effingham, Memphis, and Jackson. In Memphis, however, the power of 194 is normally taken off the train and put onto 195 and goes back north, the way it came south, except for taking a different subdivision because southbounds take the Bluford sub and northbounds take the Cairo sub. That switch, long in place before 3309 was rebuilt, is the perfect way to keep 3309 in regular service but have it ready to put back onto the OCS at a moment's notice, in case they have to make an unplanned trip somewhere quickly. The whole rotation takes about 3 days, leaving Homewood at 5 p.m. normally and getting into Memphis in the very early morning, leaving Memphis that same evening and arriving in Homewood the next morning. This means it can be there and back in perfect timing. Many locals have gotten sick of seeing it, however, myself not included, just like I still like the City Rail units. I think the lack of a website and the white striping makes it look pretty neat. More understandable, though, is how the crews feel about it, as I've heard the cab rattles a lot, which I can understand why they dislike it in that regard. But from a rail fan point of view, it looks nice, which is why I think it is an underrated gem on CN's roster. The Pride of the Office Car Special, 3309.